call the meeting to order. And before we get started, I'd like to ask your permission to amend today's agenda in order to permit us to receive a presentation from Columbia Green Community College. It has to do with something called the Advantage Scholarship Program. And we're going to hear a presentation by Kelly Radzik and Drew Ledoux, who have joined us this morning. Is that okay with everybody if we add that to toward the end of today's meeting? Proceed. There is a request to change the meeting of October, the board meeting in October. Mike, can you?
Yes. The board meeting is currently scheduled for the last Tuesday in October, which is October 29th. I have my annual New York State Bankers Association conference, which is usually the first week of November, so it's not been a conflict in the past. I discussed with Jim and the executive committee requesting to move that to Tuesday, October 22nd, the week before. If it's acceptable, Lisa would circulate an updated calendar notice to see if you're available, and if there's a quorum, presumably we would go ahead and change it. If not, go ahead and have the meeting, but I wouldn't be able to attend.
Discussion, concerns? What's your preference?
Make a motion, we change the meeting to the 22nd.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you
Anyone
very much.
opposed? Thank you very much. Committee reports, executive committee. The executive committee reviewed and recommended approval of the charter, which has been updated with one minor change. And on page 3 of your packet, thanks again to the staff for numbering the pages in the packet. Page 3 of the package, you can see the process for appointing up to 3 independent members of the executive committee. We changed from the executive committee doing that to the chair of the board. That's the only revision in that chart. Any questions about that or comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The loan committee?
Yes, for portfolio, Martha.
Thank you, Ken. Look at the portfolio dashboard. You'll see that we have 2 clients that are in arrears. Loan client A, we haven't received a payment since May 15th, but we're in touch with the client and we're very hopeful we'll receive one before the end of the month. Loan client B did bring me payment on June 13th, but she's still in arrears by 30 days. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Motion to accept the loan report.
Make a motion.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. I would assume that there still was some loan activity of the smaller variety during the month.
We did not have a
No, there was nothing to last month.
Yeah.
We did get a notice from the SBA for loans through May of the fiscal year. And once again, CEDC had the largest number of microloans of any of the organizations that do it in the state, including Pursuit, which is a statewide organization. So thank you, Martha and Steve.
Yeah, I was up at a SBA event in Albany and they were just singing our praises. It's
Good to hear. Next is the governance and nominating committee.
We met briefly before this meeting with the unfortunate passing of Rick Rector. We have a vacancy for the vice chair. We nominated Tara Gay to be the new vice chair, and with her moving, left the treasurer open, and that nomination is Brian Mahoney. So if everyone is okay with that nomination, we'll need the full board approval for acceptance.
Just so you know, Brian is aware of this. But it's just a lesson to all of us, never miss a meeting.
Maybe volunteer.
But Brian's attending his son's elementary school graduation this morning.
So I need a
Let's,
motion for approval.
yes.
I'll make a motion.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried. Congratulations.
Take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help you God.
Counselors,
No, that was it.
very good. On to the President's CEO report, Mike.
Good morning. I'm very excited about the presentation from the college this morning. As you know, CEDC has partnered first with the Chamber on a program to provide one-on-one engagement with students. And that program has evolved over the last 4 or 5 years. And Kelly Radzik has done a great job in adjusting the components of the program to really track the needs of the students and the population that the college serves. We have a $15,000 line item in the budget for support of the program that we has previously been in place. And Kelly and Drew are going to give us an update on the current iteration of that project and how that has evolved, and ask us for our support again. But it is an item that is in the budget, and I'm very excited about it. And I think you will be as well when they complete their presentation. We have been working very diligently with a number of businesses and not-for-profits who are seeking consolidated funding grant applications from the state. Those deadlines are at the end of July. The state did do a webinar and session up at Hudson Valley Community College. We did follow up with them about doing one here in Columbia Green. And what they've done is they've gone to an office hour concept where they found that coming and at this stage of round 13 to just get up and give the PowerPoint spiel about all of the components of the program, they have found less useful than having the opportunity for individual applicants to call and have a one-on-one conversation with the Empire State Development team with respect to their project. So we did get that out in our last newsletter, and it'll be in the newsletter that we send out this week. We have been also working on the microenterprise grant program that Martha and Steve have been working on. I believe we have contracts signed with 13 businesses to absorb the $300,000 of grant money. The way the program works is grants are, businesses have to be a startup or existing business with 5 or less employees, including the owner, where 1 or more of the employees, including the owner, had to be a low or moderate income person. It resulted in us having to hold a 4-week session training course to qualify. Everyone that came to the planning training course did qualify, so Martha and Steve worked through that to get as much grant money to each of them as possible so that they all could participate. No one had to wait for the next tranche. The way it works is the grantee has to spend the money and submit receipts for reimbursement. And we're starting to get businesses who are eligible and signed the contracts with us to make those requests. And we have submitted to Matt Morrell the forms necessary to make the first draw request. As this is a grant that was to the county that we're administering for the county. It's very exciting. We've got a lot of great feedback from the participants. And I think once we are able to draw down 80% of the grant money to reimburse existing awardees, we can apply for the next round of funding. And we're in the process of putting that application together so that when we hit the $240,000 of reimbursement, we're not sequentially getting ready for the next round because it's a very popular program. We did get approval from the Board of Supervisors for a for them to apply for a $50,000 housing study grant that Chris Brown's been working on. And that will assist us in helping to focus in on renovation and rehab to existing homes. One of the issues that we have found is that there are many, many homes in the county that have fallen into disrepair because of deferred maintenance. And being able to, the state has realized that and has put aside significant amount of grant money for that going forward. But for us to have a better handle on what are those programs, where are the pockets of need, and how to help the homeowner get that funding is something that this grant, if we're successful, would assist us with. Chris has also been working with RUPCO on the implementation of the auxiliary dwelling unit $2 million grant that we helped the county get, and that is where a homeowner could apply for up to $100,000 to convert or build on their property an apartment or that could be rented out for someone that would be a smaller unit and hopefully would be at a more reasonable price so that people can not only generate some revenue from home ownership, but also help someone get an apartment that is affordable. We had the first meeting of the Columbia County Land Bank, and it was an organizational meeting. And Chris has submitted a budget to the state for the administrative component of that. And the county is in the process of negotiating with us a contract where CEDC would be hired to provide administrative services to the land bank, similar to what we do for the Columbia County IDA, the Capital Resource Corporation, and the City of Hudson IDA. I don't think it's going to be a difficult negotiation. It's just putting in place the scope of work similar to what we do for those other organizations, and also matching it to the state funding for the administrative component. The land bank has a great potential. It can accept properties, it can purchase properties, and then it can work to put various restrictions on those properties, either with respect to what the property can be used for, or income restrictions if it's a residential property, to assist in continuing to add unit by unit to the county's affordable housing portfolio. County would not own those properties, and most likely the land bank would sell those properties to a developer for those purposes. We have had some discussion with a owner from Massachusetts who purchased 38 acres of land up at 9H and 66 between the car dealership and Alvarez Landscape about a potential expansion of the county commerce park. There is funding available from the state to get project shovel ready. They had been looking at different types of development, but found they did not conform to the existing zoning. And as you know, there are no more available sites for the county to sell at the Commerce Park. There are several sites that are privately owned that owners are now moving forward with development. The idea would be that the county could apply for the funds to be able to do infrastructure improvements, road, sewer, water, which is accessible because of its proximity to the Commerce Park, but that the owner would be the developer and take the risk of carrying and disposing of the properties consistent with zoning. And anticipation is there would be 3 to 5 acre parcels, and we're in a real need for those right now because we're consistently getting requests. And I think one of the difficulties is that some of the requests that people are looking at are in residential areas and are getting pushed back. So to be able to have something that's in the Commerce Park zoning district in the town of Clapper would be very, very helpful. Our guess is you could get 5 to 6 parcels, and we're working with the owner at Crawford Associates to get a preliminary plan to present to the county and identify what state funding might be available. Martha and Steve again have been really working diligently with the loan fund to think that we have over $2 million of loans outstanding, and we only have 2 clients who are late. It is really incredible, but it's also reflects the one-on-one contact that Martha and Steve have with our borrowers, and I think that results in the people paying us first because the size of the loan and the size of the payment is manageable, and they appreciate what CEDC and the team does for them. We continue to work with the Board of Supervisors on the Office of Community Renewal Grants. Happy to report that Clock Estates is moving towards a grand opening of their restaurant as well as the distillery. And also we'll be planning a ribbon cutting sometime in mid-July. We also, in that connection with our responsibilities with the Hudson IDA, met on Friday to close on the financing for the completion of the pocketbook factory, which is a $24 million project in the old pocketbook factory on Washington Street, just behind us. And also when you come and go, if you look out of the picture window on the 3rd floor, you can see the first of the proposed Galvin housing projects under construction. And as we ride around, Martha and I were talking about this just yesterday. The further we drive around out to the county, we can identify, well, we gave those people a loan, we helped them get a grant, we got them financing, and those of us in this business, as well as regulatory agencies and others, always think of those projects as our projects, even though they're the developer's project. But I think not only should the staff be proud, but all of you should be proud of the impact we're having with real dollars. We are getting ready for summer. Take some time off starting tomorrow, and other staff are planning that as well. And we continue to get inquiries about projects, both for the county IDA as well as the city IDA, and through the state and federal grant program. Talking to another farm about a farm housing initiative, and also there's a USDA low interest loan program for farms to access funds for infrastructure. So we're not just limited to retail, service business, manufacturing, hospitality, but also continuing to support our agribusinesses and our tourism. Are there any questions?
Going back to the businesses that were in residential areas, are they coming to you because their older business wanted to expand? Are you trying to drive them towards the Commerce Park?
Well, we had an example in Livingston. There was a company that wanted to build a warehouse for Frito-Lay, and it was just the scope of it was beyond the capacity of the residential neighborhood to accept, either as neighbors or the town to approve. So we're finding, and we're also finding that one-offs in a 3 to 5 acre parcel somewhere doesn't have water, sewer, gas, electric, and broadband without having to drill a well and build a septic field. And I think urban planners would say density and to build these things in an area where, you have, like housing, more density than having every 5 acre field in the county have a 10,000 square foot building on it. It's more that the towns have such restrictive zoning and the neighbors are so protective of their own property rights that it's hard for anyone in business to locate a new facility or expand an existing.
Is there any thought given to housing, maybe as part of that integrated, to have sort of not as car dependent and
I think that
housing close to the jobs that they'll create?
we think that, Amador has a very large housing project proposed that abuts this property. And again, we're trying to find a way to facilitate incentives for the developers so that CEDC or the county isn't in the land development disposition business. But, certainly I could conceive where you might have out on the front of a property housing with more industrial type commercial space in the back. I know Chris is looking everywhere for any type of housing. And the housing task force has done really well. And I think there's actually a meeting this Thursday.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Housing is.
Get some manpower.
And finally, we did have a meeting of 8 or 10 executive directors or board chairs of various foundations in the county. Again, the idea is there an opportunity to either identify a single project that would motivate each of those organizations to work together, or based on individual organizations' missions, is there an opportunity for, if I'm going to do this project, maybe 2 or 3 at the table support that project and work with me to advance it. We did do a survey of the group, and it was all of the regulars. It was income, which really is job creation. It was education and training. It was childcare, transportation, and housing. So, I think the benefit of it was our second meeting. The benefit was everyone came back for the second meeting, and all are interested in continuing to meet on a semi-annual or quarterly basis. And I think there was some interest in teaming up in smaller groups as opposed to trying to develop a single project that would garner the attention of everyone at an equal level because of the differences in mission. And I guess it's public now that Peter Taylor is retiring from the Berkshire Taconic Community Foundation. Peter's been a great partner to CEDC in his time there. We look forward to continuing to work with his team there as they go through a search to find a replacement. If there are no questions, we could go to the financial report.
Please.
On page 6, which is the balance sheet, our assets are up 560,000, primarily because we had Kleinkill loan receivable for the farm housing, and 12 months ago that project that got booked in the last 12 months. So you're seeing a change on that line, but that has been booked for a while. And you're also seeing that we're up $600,000 in new loans. In addition, our liabilities are up by $205,000 with respect to deferred revenue. The bulk of that deferred revenue is funding that we have with the county, where we've taken it in because they paid us, but we are still waiting to do the work. So when you look at the total liabilities, are also up, they're $482,000 in total, but 400 of that is because we borrowed $400,000 more at this point this year from the SBA than we had last year. We're still just over net asset, total assets and total liabilities and equity of $5 million, which is a considerable jump over the last 7 or 8 years. There's no question on the balance sheet. We can go to the income statement, which page 9. Our grant income is up because we did receive a $10,000 grant that we're administering for Trillium, which is a countywide land trust. And we also moved $17,000 from deferred income into income so that we could award Columbia Forward grants. And if you remember, the county gave us $50,000 to be able to give a grant equal to 10% of any loan that qualified for that program. And that money is dwindling, it'll soon be gone. But because they gave it to us 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we did put it in deferred income, and as we make those grants, we move the income over. I'm also pleased to report that they're working with Bank of Green County, Community Bank, Key Bank. We were back to where we were 8 years ago with earning interest on our bank accounts during the time that all banks were paying 0.001. We missed that line item, but as you can see, we're exceeding our budget in terms of earning interest on our funds. That interest does not include, it also includes loan interest. So obviously we're not making $60,000 in interest on our bank accounts, but it's a result of increased loan interest and better rates on our deposits. So we are $43,000 ahead of budget. On expenses, we did have almost $2,000 more on our annual meeting costs as a result of going off-site and having caterers needed to rent dishes and tablecloths and chairs and all the things that come with not having COSL. So we now have a deeper appreciation for what COSLs did for the community. Our grant expense is up by $17,000. Again, we do have the funds that $17,000 that we advanced to the Columbia Forward loan program, and also the $5,000 that we awarded to the Columbia Capital Resource Corporation, which is a IDA lookalike for not-for-profits. And we are continuing to identify the 10 not-for-profits in the county that could benefit from using the Capital Resource Corporation. The most recent deal we did was for the hospital, and it is an expense to maintain it because of the insurance for the board members and accounting requirements for reporting to the state. But I think we do feel it's still a viable and valuable investment. The hospital needed to do a major expansion, or even the Shaker Museum project would qualify. Galvin is looking at the community forum, which is the most recently a tennis court behind us here for a not-for-profit arts venue. We would, if you do one deal every 10 years, you're going to make back the money that CEDC granted to them. So, but we do look at that each year at the budget level at CEDC, but also at the IDA and CRC board meetings. Other than that, we're under budget. Obviously, we're under budget on employee expenses because we still have not replaced Jessica.
Questions or comments on the financial reports?
Make a motion, we accept them. I'll second that.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mike. I should also add that there is a contractual matter that we need to bring before the board, and I think we'll do that in executive session toward the end. We should go get on the presentation. Dr. Drummer, would you like to introduce formally our presenters?
I would be happy to introduce our presenters. With us today, we have our Dean of Students, Drew Ledoux. He's been with the college for 4 years now. 3, okay.
Feels like 4.
Feels like came, shortly after the pandemic. And yeah, he's done absolutely amazing things with our student success initiatives. And with him, it's Kellyanne Radzik, who is our, wait for the title, Director of Career Success and Experiential Learning. Say that quickly. Yeah, it's not possible. Yeah. So Kellyanne, basically what that means is she's in charge of our internship program, just putting it in very simple terms and helping students find funding like we're going to talk about today. So awesome.
Thank you, President Drummer. Good morning, everyone. My name is Drew, as Dr. Tucker mentioned, and we're so grateful to President Tucker and to Vice President Martha for inviting us to meet with you today. In the fall semester, we had a fantastic conversation about how we can leverage funding and support from the CEDC to better position our marginalized students on campus, who, of course, many represent Columbia County and the local and wider communities. So on campus, I have the privilege of working with an incredible team of leaders who manage the academic, personal, and professional support services that are in place to respond to our students and their evolving needs. Over the last few years, we've had a great program through Kelly's office to support folks who are preparing for life after Columbia Green as they develop those transferable skills and enhance their marketability. And we're now looking at how we can again leverage additional support from CEDC to be directed toward those with learning differences as we expand our population of folks with disabilities in the workforce. So Kelly's collaborated so closely with our Office of Accessibility Services on campus, as well as Office of Academic Affairs, to ensure that folks have equal opportunity for resources and support in professional development at Columbia Green. And this, of course, all falls under the leadership of President Drummer, who's prioritized since 2019 student success and academic excellence for those who join the Columbia community. So with that said, I'll pass it over to Kelly, who really has invested so much of her time and effort into this presentation.
Great, thanks. I'm gonna go over so some of you don't have to hang your heads.
Kelly, excuse me. Before we begin, there's a PowerPoint. Rich, Rachel, Derek, if you want to come over in one of these seats, you'll be able to see it without. Oh, okay, that's fine too.
Like watching on TV.
Yeah.
I know it's next.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Again, we're so grateful for the support of the CEDC and the investment and helping students make that important transition, right? It's, remember that time when you're leaving high school and you're trying to figure out what's next, right? That's a very confusing time. And since COVID, it's gotten a little more stressful to students. So we were thinking about, we had been supporting high school students through this program, high school students who were thinking about coming to Columbia Green. My office falls under student affairs, and I was attending a student affairs webinar at the national level, and they started talking about this audience that wasn't getting their needs met, and that was students in high school with IEPs. We already have a fabulous program through our Office of Accessibility Services, a transitions conference. It's called It's All in the Planning, and that supports local students from local high schools thinking about making that transition into the college environment. So what we're doing is we're bringing in a companion piece to that. And what we're doing is, instead of focusing on high school students, we're going to focus on incoming freshmen. So these are students who have already chosen Columbia Green. These are students who had IEPs or some kind of extra support in high school. And you'll see in a minute, we have some statistics on how they need this type of support and intervention to make that transition into the career world so much more than our standard average student, if there is such a thing, right? So Advantage Scholars is the name we came up for the program, and it provides specialized career development activities to incoming freshmen with disabilities through individualized coaching, supported career competency training, and mentoring. So the why. So this is the overall description of the program. So they're going to earn valuable online credentials working as part of a small group. We decided that there's so much of local employers, and actually even nationwide, even the bigger employers, use online systems to deliver their training and their competency programs. It would make sense to support these students in actually doing that environment. So getting their training through that mode is important. Meet local employers and participate in career building activities on or off campus. In our old program, the high school students were earning scholarships to the college. It was not immediate enough for them. So with this group, we're going to give them immediate gift cards. You complete the project, you get a gift card. It's going to be, I think, much more motivating, and explore multiple career paths and career critical internship opportunities. So why this audience? So in 2018, the employment population ratio was 19.1% among those with a disability compared to 65.9% of those without a disability. So basically, of the people who could work, we get almost 66% working, right? But when you get into this population where there's a disability involved, it drops all the way down to 19%. As of October 2023, there are 94,000 students with disabilities registered at their colleges, so there's probably even more, right? Just in New York State. So this is a growing population. And then there's a lot of studies about career readiness. And again, if you look at high school students in general, the numbers aren't great. But then if you focus in on students with disabilities, for example, in Texas, they had 15.4% were considered career ready for the general population, and it dropped all the way down to 2.1%. And the types of things they were asking them was, do you have an idea about a career plan? Have you, had to be punctual? What does professionalism mean? Those types of things. And the students were scoring low. So again, I think there's a really good case. The National Association for Colleges and Employers have identified this type of program as one of the most effective things colleges could, one of the most effective ways colleges could partner with employers to help students. Next slide. So just to give you a feel for what the program might look like is, again, we're going to have an individual plan because students with disabilities are not, they don't all have the same skill sets and the same needs. So this is actually based on some pilots we did in the spring semester. So we're going to have monthly career talks. I'm going to show you what those are in a second. This person is going to earn an online communication badge. During January break, they're going to have a career conversation, which is a gentler way with our students for an information interview. They're going to go out and talk with a character designer. Spring semester, they're going to work on resilience and teamwork badges. They're going to have some mentoring sessions with an art teacher and then apply for a summer position at an art camp. And then this next student, Sam, again, is going to attend our monthly career talks, but maybe Sam's going to work on communication badges. In January, actually have a career conversation with a park historian because they're a history major at Columbia Green. They're going to complete the teamwork and diversity modules. They're going to prepare a resume and a research portfolio because maybe this is a higher capacity student, right? And they're going to apply for the summer internship that we have a wonderful partnership with Alana, which we actually had a student do that. So these are the types of things we're going to put together as part of the program. So the monthly career talks, I'm very, very excited about this component. We did not have this with the previous iterations because I became involved with the Designing Your Life movement. It started at Stanford University. It's now at Texas A&M and Tulane and over 300 colleges throughout the United States and around the world. And here's the very cool thing about it. It's taking a human-centered approach that engages creative thinking in the career development process. A lot of times we approach it as a math equation, right? Well, you have these skills, you like to do this, so this should be the perfect career for you, right? A lot of students get stuck on that. It's not that simple. So the idea is we use design thinking. So it's not solving a problem at the blackboard, it's thinking more like designing a car, right? What car is gonna work with you right now when you go car shopping, right? Some points in your life, you need an SUV. Some points in your life, you can go for the convertible. That's the type of processes that are built into this. It's all done in a very fun, creative, and engaging way that builds energy, where students tend to get stressed out in terms of career thinking. So that will be those monthly meetings. We will have our cohort. At some points, we'll bring in and open up it to the whole campus, so everyone can join into this fun process. And then the valuable workplace training, again, we're gonna focus on recognized providers online. The students will get like their own Visa gift card down to they're gonna sign up for the actual training themselves, learn how to do that process, manage the registration, and then work through and be coached through and do it together. So, you know, if there are barriers, if there are obstacles, we can coach them through to get those badges to add to their portfolio. Cost per student. So this is like the minimums, and I have some partnerships that already have some money in the game. I would like to have $600 per student per year to give them those little gift cards, you know? So not little gift cards, I wanna give them good gift cards because I want them to do it, right? So like $200 gift card when they complete a credential, something like that. We might need some gas cards to go have those career conversations in person, or maybe go job shadow somewhere. Some of our students don't have that extra bandwidth to have gas money, or some of these students might need to pay a driver to get somewhere. And then we would love to give them some Columbia Green gear for their completion. Berkshire Taconic has already approved. They are going to be helping out with the registration fees for the online credentials. The college recently received some funding through SUNY to support internships with nonprofits and governmental agencies. And we lobbied that would be $22 per hour to make it a competitive wage. So we'll be bringing in some of those funds to the program. I kept my goal at 8 students the first year because I want to make sure we can support them as much as they need they might need a lot more support based on what disabilities they have. Once I see what the first cohort looks like, I'm hoping to up that number, but I want to make sure to be able to fully support this first set of students. The additional program costs, I would like $600 to give stipends to some peer coaches. So like 2 stipends of $300. And that would be other students who maybe have similar disabilities, are working, and could be sort of, conversation encouragers, keep those students motivated to try new things. Because that's really the whole crux of this program is stop worrying, start trying, right? And get out there, interact with employers. They want to give you opportunities. So that's a really quick rundown. Any questions? Yes.
How do you keep the student accountable for what they're actually using, like the gas card for? Do they have like a log saying, oh, I met with this prospective employer, I wanted to learn about this industry, or are they just taking the $100 phone to the mall? Like, how do we know?
Oh, yes, they will need to they write an introduction email to the employer, they copy me on a scheduling email, and then, the funds go to them. They need to write up in order to move forward in the program. They have to write a thank you and a summary email to me that's like, this is what I learned. We did it with some students over spring and it worked really well.
I just want to add that I think we are at such an exciting point here. For those of you who remember in 2019 when I arrived at Columbia Green, we had the Junior Career Institute.
Yes.
Which I thought was a really interesting idea, but it was only for juniors in Columbia County. So I talked to Mike and I said, we serve more than one county. Can we open this up to Green County students? Which we did. And then it became Career Connections.
Yes.
And that became a 2-year program where you started as a junior, and then if you finished as a senior, you would get, the scholarship funding to come to Columbia Green. So here we are with the Advanced Scholars Program in 5 years, but this is such a critical need, for our population. So I'm really excited, but I'm so grateful to CEDC for always being there to support, our ideas about how to help students succeed.
And I'd just like to add as a partner, that Kelly and the whole group at the college has been so great in working very closely with students and with our education department to create these matches and the internship program. We've had one of our first interns now has part-time employment at Alana.
Yes.
She's going to New Paltz for education, and so it's really been a success story.
And I've already had some conversations with Alana about supporting these students and like very basic, like try doing some customer service work, be a visitor, be a welcomer, so I'm excited that Alana will be part of this.
I was just gonna say, I'd like to affirm the online certifications. I was speaking with a publisher last week and asking them, look, if someone wants to become a copy editor or become a proofreader, what do they need to do? And her response was, they need skills. She's like, I can't tell you how many college educated kids we get that say, oh, I was an English major, I love English literature, I love to read books. Said, that doesn't do it. So I said, well, how does someone get that? And so these are publishers saying, yeah, you have a 4-year degree. We want to see your online certification for proofreading. So
And by the way,
so this is real. This is really.
And don't worry about that because AI is going to take that over.
I have some really young, like just starting out managers, in their early 20s. And just last week, I had to write a disciplinary letter for one of them to sign and administer to their staff. And he didn't know how to write a letter. 25.
Yeah.
He never had to do it.
ChatGPT.
I have a question. So we're talking about specifically disabled students who would be getting cash incentives to get online certifications that would eventually encourage them to get a degree.
They're already in a degree program.
They're
so
in a
we're
degree
just
program. This
adding-
is just to get a badge.
Yeah, this is to get like skilled credentials on top of that.
And to encourage them through the program and
You're paying cash incentives to get a credential through taking an online test.
It's like, it's like modules, so it's like a full program online. So they're like doing the training, which is, some of them are like 9 weeks long. And then at the end, they take a test.
We found some research that supports this becoming more of a trending model in higher ed, like NASPA, ACPA, MACE, and HECMA, different organizations that are committed to supporting students holistically and incentivizing different milestones through one's academic trajectory has really proven to show positive outcomes and overall student success. So we're hopeful that as long as we have the right parameters and controls in place, we'll make sure that no one falls through the cracks or inappropriately gives them voice in this opportunity. Through the college's foundation office, we do offer students where it's earnings credit or CG, gift cards or funding for very specific purposes, kind of with optional in response to your question. So if somebody is in need of transportation support or fuel monies, we'll give them gift cards just for students' fuel, so they can't go into use funds. That makes sense. And we're hoping that by incentivizing milestones, that'll really encourage folks to work together as a team and to force under the direction of Kelly to I guess obtain their goals.
We already have this model in the business program, and the business program right now is, I believe it's in the marketing course. They are earning certifications through Google. So by the time they're done with their marketing course, I believe they can have up to 3 certain credentials with Google by the time they're done. So it's a new trend in education. It's something, again, it's a good transition. I used to work in HR and be that person that was upskilling people. And it's a really good way to get college students that their toes in that world of, this is what professional development looks like. This is how you're going to learn when you're not in a classroom in the college. So I think, both are important.
Is your goal to prepare these students to become
employees in Columbia County?
Yes, and to persevere, because remember, these students don't love school for the most part. So they've struggled a bit, they've had that extra support. So those little incentives again are maybe ways to help them when it's hard in their classwork to not give up, but okay, I can do this. I can, I've got a support team that's helping me. I'm part of, that's why we have those monthly career meetings built in. They're gonna be part of a group of people working on this together. So they're not gonna, be like COVID. A lot of them have trauma about, trying to do their work with their extra support, but alone at home, right? So I think it's a very exciting idea.
One of the things that we've learned from our director of student success is and accessibility services is that there are so many students with disabilities who do not declare them. They don't ask for accommodations. And as a result of that, faculty don't know in their classroom, for example, who has dyslexia. And it becomes an issue because the student isn't performing as he or she should. And at the same time, because of, regulations, you can't talk to a student about something like that unless the student declares it to you and says, I need help. So that's, in part where this actually is originated. It's just amazing to me. Do we have the data? I remember what Catherine said about the number of students who do not declare the need for the accommodation. It's high.
It's hard to get the accommodation too for some. Just like if you don't have parents and things that
Well,
way
that's
for
true.
you. And I came from having a learning disability in high school to going to community college in person. Did not work for me. I didn't like it. I thought I hated school. I thought I couldn't go on. It really was just the schooling at the time wasn't working for me. It wasn't empowering me. It wasn't encouraging me. And I did later go on to get my bachelor's and my master's and, graduated with a 3.8 in each. So it wasn't that I hated school and that I couldn't do it. It was the school wasn't working for me in that manner and finding it, and my mom had to fight really hard to get an IEP for me. And if you have certain kids and their parents don't care enough, it doesn't happen for them.
So we had about 100 students registered this past academic year with our Office of Accessibility Services. Kathy estimates that there were, we could probably triple that number if everybody had registered. So Kathy's our Director of Accessibility Services.
And it's word of mouth, when a student with disability meets another student and says, by the way, I'm getting help.
Yeah.
Then it really helps.
And I do think that when you look at the programs that we had before, they were very difficult with the high school students because of transportation to get to the program. And it generally evolved to where it was helicopter, snowplow parents who got their kids there who probably were not the ones that were most needing the services that were being provided.
It was also a very limited audience because we were only dealing, at the end, it was the 13 public schools whom we serve in both counties. And so there were 2 students admitted each for a total of 26, but we rarely got the full quotient.
When you're still a junior, you change your mind a lot.
Right.
We know that. Their interests from when we were involved in the program, their interests just like shift so quickly,
I want to preface what I'm about to say is that I do like the program. However, there's a part of me that feels like we're at a point in society where we have to bribe kids to want to get job skills. Like what happened to I want to succeed is this learned helplessness or is this another form of the snowplow parenting where it's this institution is just plowing over the actual obstacles in the way and there's no grit anymore?
I don't think it's
where are we
that.
at?
What I think you have to do, understand the mind of a community college student.
Oh, I was there once.
So remember your financial concerns. So the incentives are to help with the financial concerns. So some of these students are like, I would love to do the program, but it means I have to get extra rides, which is more money. Or I'd love to do the program, but I'm gonna have to cut back my hours at my really bad part-time job that I don't love. So that's where the incentives come in. So it's not really bribing them, it's more, and again, it's also modeling for those who have never worked at all. This is why you work. You come and you get your hours in and then you get money. So some of these students, because they've been so protected because of their IEP status, their parents haven't given them that real life experience. So this gives me the opportunity to be like, okay, so you have 12 hours of stuff to do before you can get your money. So it builds really, I know it's very super basic, but that's where a lot of, I would say, that's probably gonna be my biggest number of students, is students who have not been exposed to work at all.
And I can tell you, IEP, like in school, high school, while the kids need the extra help, it facilitates really low confidence, is what it does. So then when they do go into the real world or into their first semester in college, they feel very unprepared. I did.
But Mike, it's also a new generation. I have to be honest, I'm the quintessential baby boomer. My work ethic is completely different than most people's. I would do things and not ask for money. Anytime we have a project at the college and we reach out to someone, they'll say, what kind of stipend can I get? I was looking to put it on my resume. I didn't want to get paid for it. I put it on my resume. But those days are gone.
So, I know, I've been substitute teaching the last couple months at the college, so I'm in the trenches and figuring out like what is happening. Right?
Yeah.
It's a broader societal one. I wasn't targeting you guys specifically.
No,
I'm saying like I do like the program, but
it's a very real issue,
Yeah.
you know, and I go to someone's office at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, having arrived at college at 7, and the office is empty, and I'm like, where's so-and-so? It's like, oh, left for the day. I'm like, it's like, you leave at 4 o'clock?
I feel like this is a good Band-Aid to a greater problem, but in the meantime, it's doing something rather than nothing. So I still think it's awesome.
That's right.
I think it's a good shift from what you guys had going to, because you tried that and you guys put a lot into it, and it just didn't work the way you hoped it would, and I could see that.
And thank you, Rachel was a big part of, we had some career boot camps in the summer and really was a great supporter, so thank you.
Derek, did you have a follow-up question? No. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good to see you.
All right, so Mike, if you could explain what's in the budget.
So we have a $15,000 line item, and that is what we had supported the previous programs at the college. And I know that not all of it will be used for the 8 students based on the budget, but I think I would recommend that we provide the full funding so that the program can have some legs and they have some flexibility to move forward to expand it for next year.
And would that be intended for 1 year or?
Well, it'd be for calendar year 2024.
Okay, and would we be anticipating that the board would consider renewing that for future years?
We have, I think for the last 7 years, we've budgeted the 15,000 to work with the college with the recommendation as to what the best use of it is, which then would give the board the opportunity to determine whether that was within our mission to support it.
So we're giving the 15,000 to the college and they determine what the.
Yeah. This year is for this program.
Okay.
And it would go to the college foundation, so that.
It'd be administered through the foundation.
Okay.
One just quick. So the way I'm reading it, you're gonna have 8 students this year. It's $900 per student, $600 for a student, $300 for an advisor. Basically, it's 9 times 8. So
And I think the additional money can be used to get the program, would be our expectation, as Kelly indicated, that, next year it would be ramped up.
Yeah. And we may get more than 8 students in the fall. We're just being realistic about, and looking at trends and so forth. But the good thing is that when the money sits in the foundation, if we don't use the entire amount, then it rolls over to the following year, because it has to be used for this particular program.
Yes, I have a question. What would be used to track the outcomes of this? We kind of keep up with students 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think this is a good.
Yeah.
A good
Our
initiative.
director of
It's very easy to say.
Yeah.
These kids are in the program, they're doing this, these kids aren't.
We love the follow-up to see
Yeah.
what.
I think as long as there's a long term.
Yeah.
Tracking is always key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments, concerns? Is there a motion to approve the allocation of the $15,000 to the Advanced Scholarship Program at Columbia Green Community College?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
One.
Noted. Thank you. Motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We do have a contractual matter that we need to discuss in executive session. If we could have a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And I will entertain a motion to extend our lease here at Hudson City Center for a 5-year period.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
Abstention, Rick Cummings. Thank you, that's approved. Lisa, I have a question. Did we have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Yes.
No.
We did, okay, just want to make sure. Good. The minutes of the May 28th meeting were in your packet. Any questions or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Mr. Chairman, one other quick thing. We are at a point where we need to replace our server. I think we've discussed the fact before that we are, Vandenberg and Riley and I have extensive research going to the cloud. We identified 3 firms and we have quotes from 3. We think there's some capacity to negotiate but with a not to exceed cost of $20,000. The issue is once you move to the, and that's the same price as replacing the server, but we will not have to do that again. Because once you're in the cloud, you don't have to take everything off of the hard drive server and move it into another hard server. You only have to manage what's in the cloud. I'm not, I would like to move forward and you're always playing Russian roulette when you're year 7 on your server. So I would like to see if the board would entertain giving me approval up to $20,000 to initiate and implement this program. And obviously our goal is to get it at a lower price.
Before we go into how much space are we actually using storage wise, like in terabytes or gigabytes, like?
And Steve would have to, I can get you that.
Well, you also need it in triplicate because you have to mirror it when you do the backup, so you need.
Yeah.
It is
Triple
like 20,000 a lot.
Well, that's not the cost of running it.
Yeah, the replacing it, so it's like,
Well,
data.
but that cost, if you're getting new servers, includes the equipment, which is about $5,000. So where we're negotiating is, one firm tells us it's a lot simpler to migrate the data that's on the hard server to the cloud, and the other is telling us it takes longer, so we're trying to figure out. And obviously, the staff is considerably supportive of the incumbent because we know what their call center is like. Where, if you go with a new provider, and I don't know that the service would be any different. I just think we're used to how they respond to us from the other company. And the third provider was way more expensive, but and they're also in New Jersey. And I mean, it was, we're too small for them, so we're going to charge. If you were a larger company, some of their entry fees that got amortized over the annual fee, it's about $1,500 a month as a service fee going forward. But I would like to. We had hoped to have a firm proposal for you today, but if possible for you to consider doing this authorization, we'll guarantee you that we'll do our best to get the best price.
How would you like to proceed?
If we approve this today, do we still see the proposals? Like,
Yeah.
are you triple bidding it, so before you make a recommendation?
If that's what you'd like to do, we can just, why don't we do it in July? We'll table this to July, Mr. Chairman.
All right, that's fine. Okay, thank you. We set aside time at the end of each meeting to hear from the public, if any members of the public are attending today, either in person or online. We're happy to hear your questions, comments, criticisms, or complaints. Hearing none, thank you very much. Anything else that any members of the board or staff wish to bring up?
Yeah, going back to just the example of somebody looking for warehouse space, are we as an organization trying to steer them towards things that already exist instead of breaking ground on green space in the county? Like, just off the top of my head, the old ShopRite building's been sitting there. Why wouldn't Frito-Lay want to just move in there? They got loading docks, everything's all set up. Would that be an option?
Is it, the size of that building, and I think it's on the market for 4 million.
The rent is, yeah, the rent's insane over there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lived over there.
And I think the real issue is, if we're having this issue with Flanders, people say, well, why don't they just break it up into, partitions, and we'll just take 10,000 of the 190,000 square feet, and the owner can't do that, because if someone comes and wants to take the whole 190,000 square feet, but I think we let the free market decide if there's going to be a development or not, but we do monitor the real estate listings to see what's available. But I do think that right now, there's very little available space. Colin Stair bought a piece of property out in Freeport, and I think he's building the third 10,000 square foot warehouse, and they fill up like that. Andrew McDonald up in Chatham, just in the old Fairpoint communication facility. He only has 3,000 square feet left, and he was able to partition it out. So, I do think the fact that the state has money for shovel ready, and this could be done in a way where the county doesn't have to obligate itself to $500,000 of infrastructure, because the developer already owns the land and may be willing to serve as the park initiator. Do something that we're happy to have offline conversations in more detail, but it is, we can't own and operate one more thing. So if we can facilitate it with others, either at the county level or private sector, we try to do that.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Thank you very much.